Hello, I'm Luke from IGM. The movie Shrek was responsible for completely changing the fairy tale concept of the typical prince and princess figures. Before the arrival of Shrek in 2000, Disney controlled the animation industry. Without any strong competitors in sight, their movies totally dominated the market. But in 2001, Dreamworks Animation released Shrek and made an immediate impact in the animation market. Dreamworks was able to overcome Disney's market dominance by simply doing the opposite. Disney movies always featured love stories between beautiful characters with perfect personalities. However, Dreamworks took a different path. They created a character that lacked the physical beauty of Disney characters, but had an honest, down-to-earth personality who understood the true value of love. Disney had created a fantasy world based on beautiful characters, even transforming a mouse into the universally recognizable Mickey Mouse character. However, Dreamworks showed the world that a less than perfect character could have feelings too, an aspect that was previously ignored by the industry. Did Dreamworks' strategy work? It hit the mark perfectly. All the people who had assumed that Disney's animation was the norm realized that the Disney way was not the only way, and sought out fresher and more touching movies. As a result, the Shrek series gained immense popularity and is ranked among the 50 highest-grossing movies of all time. Obviously, this is an achievement that could not have been attained if Dreamworks had simply followed Disney's lead. Professor David B. Yoffie of Harvard University recommends that when facing off against Goliath, it's best to counterattack with a different method. Yoffie advised to go against the grain if your company cannot beat another company at their own game. In other words, stimulating customer interest by going against the traditional norm will allow a smaller company to gain advantage over a larger company in certain markets. However, according to the global consulting firm Bain & Company, many companies still focus on imitating the methods of market leaders and therefore have difficulty making a name for themselves. The few companies that choose to go against the grain, like Dreamworks, realize far greater returns. U.S. auto manufacturer GM is one of those companies. Up until the 1920s, GM was hopelessly outmatched in their competition against Ford. At that time, Ford had implemented their conveyor belt system and was producing cars by the thousands. Thanks to this revolutionary system, cars which had cost $2,000 US were now being manufactured for less than $300 by Ford. Naturally, consumers flocked to buy Ford's Model T, leaving GM in disarray. In order to overcome this threat, GM needed to come up with a solution fast. GM had two options to choose from. One option for GM was to imitate the method already used by Ford. In other words, target low-income consumers by mass-producing inexpensive cars. This method would reduce production costs and allow GM to lower their prices. However, imitating Ford would limit GM to forever playing catch-up. The other alternative was to adopt a strategy opposite that of Ford. After numerous heated discussions, GM chose the latter. GM decided to not only produce premium cars for the upper class, but also to make luxury cars for the middle class. Through this strategy, GM produced various different models at several different price points, like the high-priced Cadillac, the mid-priced Oldsmobile and Pontiac, and the even cheaper Chevrolet. This marked a huge change in the automobile industry. Upper-class customers now had the option of selecting a car that best suited their social status. The variety of cars and respective prices also attracted more customers to GM. As a result, General Motors attained a market share of 42% in 1937 and was able to overtake Ford. More recently, McDonald's was successful in implementing this type of strategy. McDonald's decided to enter the coffee market by challenging Starbucks and other coffee industry powerhouses. But McDonald's didn't attempt to imitate the premium image of their competitors. Instead, McDonald's went with an inexpensive and practical cup of coffee concept. This concept was a revelation as customers realized that they could get a decent cup of coffee for as little as $2. As a result, the sales generated by McCafe in various countries such as Australia accounted for 30% of their overall sales. So, what kind of strategy is your company using against competitors? Is your company simply imitating and benchmarking the methods of the market leaders? Instead, why not go against the grain and offer consumers a little variety? By offering your customers multiple options, the possibility of attracting them to your company will no doubt increase.